Hello everyone, I'm Michelle from Eternal Being. I have got Sam with us today. Hello Sam. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Sam Evans, and I am a business owner and a long-term client of Michelle's.
So Sam, we're having a talk today on our podcast. So, what was the reasons why you came to Eternal Being in the first place?
I'd say the reason that I came in the first place was for massage, for a bad back and bad shoulders, and just terrible posture, really. Was about how I sort of like first started working with you, and then that led on to you telling me other things about myself, and probably like growing more of an interest in what you offer around like health and wealth and sort of like wellness, and that kind of like peaking as I got more into the gym and I'd started taking other aspects of my physical health more seriously, and not really seeing the same progress that I probably wanted to see with the amount of effort that I was putting into exercise. My PT talking to me about diet, alcohol consumption, and balance, really, which is like kind of what led me to the blood test and more the gut side of things. I think that's probably a best way to like describe how I've got to where I am, really, and then also like me taking it more seriously as a thing, as a whole thing.
And where you were at that time as well, you had a hell of a lot going on with your business and house and relationships and your whole environmental factors at that particular time. So that was like the first stint was your posture, and with the type of work that you're doing, scooped over and so on. So then when we started working on that and helping you understand actually everything's connected, but it takes time to link those connections together. Like when you're training all the time and you're not getting the outcomes that you're wanting, and you're not eating massive amounts, but the stuff that you are eating is affecting your well-being, but more importantly, the way that you look. It isn't always the vast amount of food that most people think it is. It's not. It can be a small amount, which can turn your gut upside down. So that's where we then looked at doing the blood intolerance testing, didn't we?
Yeah. I don't think I was eating a particularly massive amount of food at that time. I think I was carrying a lot of stress with work. I was carrying a lot of stress with work. Like running a business is fucking nuts anyway. Especially when it sort of starts to like get a bit of a grip and you've got sort of a lot of responsibilities. But I think that going back to the gym and starting that journey of around like thinking, if I'm physically fit, I'll be fit.
Yeah. And that's the answer.
And that is the answer, yeah.
And everybody thinks it, and there's so much more than that.
It's there. Not. And it's mental to think, really, like after I had the blood test, I lost 7 kilos in like 3 months, which was mad when you think about it in terms of like my training did intensify in that 3-month period,
because you had the energy to be able to.
But you could visibly see that it was happening as well. So you're like, right, whatever I'm doing now is working. This weight's coming off clean
because you've not got that hypertension in the body. So that information that's in the body, by reducing all of that, then basically you start to feel better. Your bowel starts to work better. You start to get the nutrients from your food, but you end up wanting to put the good stuff in because you know that stuff that you're putting in is making you feel better. But it can be really scary when you get your results back. Right, Sam, what advice would you give somebody for low self-esteem?
Firstly, establish that there's a difference between confidence and self-esteem. You can go and be confident, but self-esteem is how you feel about yourself all of the time. And also your self-esteem is unfortunately adversely affected by what the people closest to you will negatively critique you on. And if you can understand that affects your self-esteem, and you can start to qualify who in your life is worth listening to, and what their opinion of you is, and how valid that is, or even whether you're even bothered about that opinion.
And also, is it fact or is it own opinion?
But yeah,
it's
fact
really
and opinion.
Important.
But I would say also, like, you not allowing what people say about you to affect your self-esteem. And for me, actually, one of the easiest things that I did was I went on the internet, I went on social media, and I just blocked anything that made me feel bad about myself, and just followed stuff that was inspirational, motivational, and real, and was in line with like my beliefs and what I thought about the world or thought about life, really, and get that to come at you and start your day with seeing something really positive.
Yeah,
that's
really
the opposite of what you might be being told about yourself. That's a really great way to start to like build your own self-esteem. And then I think like not worrying about what people think about you or say to you is something that you have to practice over a period of time. And once you get through that period of thinking that person doesn't know what they're talking about, they're not even in a position to give me any advice on this situation, I'm going to stop listening to them. That's when you find your self-esteem, and then that's easier to make better decisions about your health.
And it really comes back to those small little steps that you did at the beginning with working with ourselves, to be able to look at all of that people run from themselves because they don't want to look at themselves. And when you're able to do that and reflect and be with the right people in your little group as such, or your realm, as I like to call it as well. We have different realms, and them realms are the people that are the closest to you, that you know that will support you no matter what. They're honest with you, but they want you to do well.
Yeah.
And they want to see you successful, and they love you, and they, you know,
like your self-esteem is most negatively impacted by the projections of other people of their insecurities onto you.
Totally.
That is the number one thing that affects your self-esteem.
Exactly. And then that affects everything else in your life. And that's why, you know, those little changes that we facilitate every single day, making sure that you are doing something positive in the morning, make sure you're not looking at negative things that are going to sway your mental health. It's really important, because then when it comes to your food and exercise, it becomes easier. And it's like brushing your teeth. It's a normal routine thing that you would do every single day. And you don't even then really think about it. It's a natural thing that you move over to.
I also think like with your self-esteem, you have to be like really careful as well, because there are things that you can do that you think are going to be good for your self-esteem, which are actually bad. And I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I refer to them as the muscles and the bikinis on Instagram. And it's kind of like, some people are blessed with the world's greatest genes, which means that they can just look like any member of the 300, right?
That's a good film, by the way. I do like that film.
They look like Spartans, right? And so, like, you'll go on to, like, Instagram and you'll follow their exercise routines of these Spartans. And then, like, by doing that, you're actually looking at perfection. And then you're actually trying to imitate the exercise. Even if you don't want to look like that person, that is giving you an image of someone that is... So you've just got to... You're doing something to help yourself, but at the same time, in the world that we live in, that can have a negative connotation. And I remember I got to a point in the gym where I was just like, you know what you're doing. You don't need to look at these muscle people any longer, because it's not good.
And what's
it's not
really
good for
unhealthy, and I've seen this in all the years that I've worked in the field that I'm in, and frustration with people saying, I want to look like that. Well, your body shape's not that.
Yeah.
We can improve the body shape that you've got and make you look absolutely stunning, gorgeous, confident. Your self-esteem's going to be soaring out the roof. But if you're trying to transfer that image of that person onto yourself, it ain't going to happen.
No.
We've got to work with what we've got. And that takes time. And those small little changes that you do, every single change will facilitate the best, healthiest, fittest body that you've got. So it's pointless that people go and look at stuff like that. It's like looking at supermodel and they're 24 stone. I'm going to be size 6. Now, come on, be realistic. I'm not saying that can't happen. That's over time and change, okay? And looking at all these other bits that people put in boxes in their head that they don't want the box to open, is to open those boxes gently at each time to review why those boxes have happened in the first place, to actually tackle the self-esteem that you've got going on inside, that we need to move forward with everything. But yeah, it's a really common one where I've never really been like that. So it's hard because I've been in that industry for such a long time. So hearing it from you, it's like, wow, yeah.
I think when you're looking at self-esteem, if you spend all day looking at muscle men as a man on the internet, and it's the same for women, if you're looking at muscle women or fitness women all day long, that's not good for you in any capacity, from your own self-esteem through to your own confidence, through to your actual mental health. And for a lot of people, that will be that would have to be like their first point of like thinking to yourself, is what I'm seeing adversely affecting the way that I'm thinking about myself? If it's not motivating you to change or to do something, you should stop looking at it.
And also,
because it's not helping.
And also, sometimes what somebody looks like on the outside, and they might look absolutely wow, amazing, doesn't mean they're the healthy on the inside, Sam. No. You see that time and time over again within the clinic, dealing with, athletic bodies all the time, in bodybuilding in particular, to rugby players, to fighters, that, their digestion system's in a mess. And they're not really realising why their digestion is in a mess, because they've been told this is good for you and you must eat this amount of food at this particular time. Why? Oh, because it's going to do this. Well, it's doing completely opposite effect, and you're getting hypertension, and you've got constipation, or you've got diarrhea, or you've got a bit of bloating or swelling. So helping people understand it's so much than what you look like. It's what's going on inside. And by getting this better inside, then everything else transfers, like you saw, like, wow, God, I've been training. And Michelle, look, coming in the light. Michelle, look at it. I'm like, right, there's a bit of poo over there, Sam. Yeah. Let's massage that out. And you're like, it's not, it's just fat. And then you're like, messaging me, Michelle, I pooped how many times today? Yeah. Which we don't realise how important our waste is. Getting it out, recycling, getting ourselves better, hydration, eating when you're hungry, not eating for the sake of eating or eating because it's 12 o'clock. The fashionable word all the time is, I hear, intermittent fasting. Well, if you call it intermittent fasting, it's just to help people understand what it basically means. You eat in particular time frames.
To digest.
Yeah, basically. And I've been doing it for years. Yeah. And PT said to me, oh, you do intermittent fasting. I eat when I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm in tune with my gut. So, it's great to educate people to understand their digestion system. Using a label sometimes can help people with intermittent fasting. I do get that with body shapes and stuff like that, and you get over a certain age. But you also got to understand about your output as well. So your output of what work you're doing, how much food and stuff you need to be putting in. So, for instance, if you sit...
That's the most... I think for me, that's the most important one, was when I worked out, that's the amount of calories going in.
Yeah.
And that's the amount of calories going out.
Yeah.
And that's
Don't forget breathing as well, because people forget about this one.
That's the exacting bit.
And how much you actually need.
And then it's really easy from there.
Yeah, it is.
You just add it all up. And then, I think now it's much easier because, you kind of memorise, what the calories are of stuff or what's in it. So, for instance, I know what's in a Subway. So, you can make a sensible... If you're going to have a Subway, you can make a sensible decision about what's right for you from Subway. And also, but that extends to any meal you go to. Totally. It doesn't have to just be fast food. It can you'll look at a menu and you'll be like, I'm just going to eat that because I don't want to whatever tomorrow.
Yeah,
I'm just
you
gonna
don't
eat
want to feel
that.
horrible.
Or you'll go to somewhere and be like, I can eat all of this. I haven't got to worry about it because that's the type of place that you've gone
And
to.
you'll go to the next stage, Sam, like you're able to look at a menu or go out and look at food and look at calories. You'll go to the next stage on your journey that you're like, actually, I do need a little bit of that and I need a little bit of that because that's actually going to make me feel better with the fat and the protein and the carbohydrate at that particular time. You're at that stage at the minute, you're going to go to the next stage because of how hard you're training and working out. So you'll see then your performance in the gym, you know, you're like, oh, it just feels like I'm doing it now. You'll go to the next stage, which I'm very excited about, you know, so that there's different stages, you know, and that's really important for people to understand. It takes time. You can't rebuild yourself within 24 hours or in a week. It's like I got a message last night, Shell, I'm doing everything, I've kept to the protocol. Can you get me in on Friday? I'm coming over from Ireland. I'm like, yeah, I can do all of that. And I went, you're doing really well, but remember, it is still early days. And if you do make a hiccup, it's a hiccup. It doesn't matter. Just get back on the path again. You know, and that's one big thing. Instead of what sometimes natural thing is go back to old coping strategies, and it's breaking that cycle. And before you know it, the 1 day's turned into 2 days to 3 days to 4 days.
You've got to find the things that you have got to like. I suppose as well, I think you have got to find the things within it that you do enjoy. So like, if you go to the gym and you enjoy it, that's a bonus because you enjoy going to the gym. But then like, you find other things that you do enjoy as well. So like, I took up yoga and became quite serious about yoga, which helped my gut.
Yes.
And stretching and just general well-being. So that was that was like me looking for something else to do that wasn't just go to the gym.
Yeah.
But the same comes down to like eating as well. I would say that I made the most progress when I worked out that I had like a backbone of meals for the week.
Yeah.
So they
being organised.
I know how busy I was. I was like, right, I can eat chicken, sweet potato, and anything green. It sounds basic.
But it's tasty.
But it is basic. But
you need to season.
But it was seasoned. There were all sorts of swatch things on it as well. But understanding you had that backbone to drop into 5 nights of the week made it very easy to then actually, once you kind of got to terms with what you couldn't eat, what you can't eat, that for me was like the rhythm. So if you imagine like chicken, sweet potato, fries and greens was like the rhythm, and that could be fish with it or whatever, that was like the rhythm. And then you do that rhythm for like 5, 6, 8 weeks, and then you start to realise that the stuff that you're eating at the weekend is then knocking you out of whack Monday and Tuesday, or whatever it might be for your body. And that's really when you realise, I've actually nailed this, I've worked out, there is something that I like to eat, that I can eat, that I can have as my backbone meal. And I probably did that for 6 months with chicken and sweet potato fries or wedges or whatever, like 5 nights a week. Yeah, it got boring.
That's where you need my help to rise it up.
Got boring.
Otherwise then you can get intolerant to those foods. So
of course,
about balance.
But that's when like the weight loss came, the
and
gains in the gym and all of that stuff. And now, to be frank, I eat what I want. I wouldn't say that I was particularly intolerant to anything.
Because you've healed
anymore.
So, your diet now, how important is it for you?
My diet is really important to me now. And I would say it's more in line with me as a person and how I live. And I just make individual decisions on a daily basis about what I'm going to eat, and that will be based on what I've ate the day before and how much I've ate the day before.
Yeah, that's it.
Which I've found really important to me. So, like, for example, best example of that is if I went out on a Saturday and I went out for something to eat and drink, and I was out all day Saturday eating and you've done, I don't know, way more calories and intake
Yeah.
for the day. Like understanding that you have enough fuel in your body to get you through to Sunday tea time is really valuable.
It is.
Because you alleviate all the damage done on that particular day. So, and it's like, I know you're hungover or whatever, you get up, again, it comes back down to discipline, but that's the biggest thing I've learned. It's like, if you've overate the day before, they're not just going to magically disappear, this energy.
No. Think of a dustbin.
Yeah.
You've overloaded it. So
yeah, that's the
you've
biggest
got
thing
to
I've
get
learned.
it to breathe, and you've got to get it to digest and give your body a chance to catch up.
But also mentally, that you have enough energy to exercise.
Yes, totally.
Like you just tell it, like, just because you've not eaten a meal in 12 hours, that doesn't mean you've not had enough energy put into your body the day before to actually go to the gym and exercise, and actually that then makes you feel better instantly on that day, and then you make a better decision for your meal after that if you put that into your, I did too much yesterday, I'm going to go through this routine. I even have like a whole return from holiday routine now, which will be like, come back off holiday, like, wow, ate and drank way too much, and like that can last a month. That might take me a month to
but that's good.
to balance that off. It'll be like, I need to sort my shit out, got back off holiday, and that might be
Get
like,
yourself back into the routine
Yeah.
and structure again.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
really, really important. It's understand that no different what you would do, like you talked about right at the beginning, is having that routine and that cope, that going forward of confidence. You're doing the confidence into your own routine, on your own self-worth as well, which makes a massive difference instead of people getting this vicious circle. And you see it, especially coming up to Christmas time, December. You'll see it in the gyms and out and about there. There's nobody in there.
Yeah.
Nobody in there. And it's always astonished me, because for me, that's like the best time, because like if you're going out, you want to train before going out. But feel, all these endorphins and feel good, better, but you make better choices when you're out or having friends around your home or whatever it might be. But I'm so proud of how far you've come, Sam. It's huge. It's huge. Thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
And guys, look out for our further podcasts. And Sam will interview you at Christmas time, I think, to see how far you are. These muscles that he's got.
Yeah.
He was like, feel my legs.
My thighs.
Yeah. So well done, Sam.
Thank you.
Thank
Michelle.
you.